It's terrifying how quickly a quiet night between friends can turn into something unspeakable. One moment, two college students sat together, laughing softly in a dimly lit room. And within minutes, a wave of paranoia twisted everything, ending the life of a young pharmacy student whose future was meant to help save others. Before we dive into this story, make sure you like the video, subscribe to NoirCrime88, share it with others, and comment the country you're watching from. Your support helps us bring more true crime stories every second day. On the peaceful campus of Concordia University in Mequon, Wisconsin, weekends usually meant study groups, late-night snacks, and quiet dorm rooms filled with the low hum of student life. But on one cold night, inside a small apartment just off campus, two friends made a decision that should have been harmless. They smoked marijuana together, something that many college students view as routine, even unremarkable. But what followed was anything but ordinary. A moment of paranoia. A sudden shift in behavior. A gunshot that shattered the silence. And a life, full of ambition, kindness, and promise, was stolen in seconds. This is the story of Ariel Spillner, a bright pharmacy student whose future disappeared in a moment of fear her friend could never take back. To understand how the night unraveled, we must first understand Ariel herself. A 21-year-old student whose life revolved around learning, compassion, and a deep desire to help others. Growing up, she was the kind of person who stayed behind after class to help a friend understand homework, or who checked on people just because she noticed they looked a little off that day. Her family described her as gentle and focused. She had dreams of becoming a clinical pharmacist, working in underserved communities, and being someone that people could rely on when they were scared or sick. She wanted to be a source of comfort. And she was. Friends remembered her as calm, steady, and always willing to listen. She wasn't the type who went looking for trouble. Her life was structured around college, faith, and her long-term goals. But like many students, Ariel had a mixed circle of friends, some calm, some adventurous, some struggling. Friends said Ariel had dreams that stretched beyond the classroom. She wanted to move to Florida to begin her career, help others with her medical knowledge, and live a life defined by purpose, not fear. Jamaica Simone Mills, 32, lived nearby. She and Ariel had been friends for some time, though their relationship was described as uneven by acquaintances. Mills had reportedly been struggling with anxiety, and on that night, she had decided to hang out with Ariel, ostensibly to relax, smoke some marijuana, and catch up. The apartment where it all happened was modest, with dim lighting, scattered personal items, and the quiet hum of a typical residential building. There was no history of violence at the location, and neighbors later described the two women as normal and friendly. But inside, the combination of paranoia, fear, and impaired judgment was about to turn lethal. Hours earlier, Ariel had arrived at the apartment carrying snacks, her school materials, and the usual cheerful demeanor she brought to everyone she met. Jamaica welcomed her with a nervous smile, the kind that didn't quite reach her eyes. Minutes passed with laughter and conversation. They smoked together. The atmosphere seemed light, but unbeknownst to Ariel, Jamaica's mind was slipping into a spiral of fear. The evening began like any casual hangout. Ariel and Jamaica sat in the living room, talking quietly, sharing small jokes, and passing a joint between them. Neighbors later said they heard nothing unusual, just the faint sounds of conversation and laughter. But inside the apartment, Jamaica's mind began to shift. According to court documents, she started to feel paranoid, convinced that Ariel might harm her. The paranoia was irrational, but in that moment, it felt very real to Jamaica. Witness statements and police reports suggest that small gestures, perhaps a hand movement, a sudden laugh, or the casual way Ariel reached for something, triggered a fear response in Jamaica. Her heart rate spiked. Her thoughts raced. And suddenly, she believed she had to protect herself. Jamaica retrieved a Ruger .380 caliber handgun from a nearby drawer. She later told investigators she didn't intend to kill Ariel, only to defend herself. The tension in the room escalated. Ariel, unaware of her friend's growing fear, continued to speak calmly, laugh, and attempt to reassure her. Then, in a moment that would forever haunt the apartment, Jamaica fired. The gunshot echoed, leaving a chilling silence. Ariel collapsed to the floor, the life leaving her body almost instantly. Jamaica herself was injured, a gunshot grazed her stomach, though it was non-fatal. She called 911, her voice trembling as she described the situation, trying to explain the chaos that had just unfolded. Police arrived within minutes. The scene they encountered was horrifying. Ariel Spillner lay motionless, and Jamaica was sitting nearby, panicked, clutching her stomach. There was no robbery, no fight, no third-party intruder, only the devastating reality of a friendship that had ended in tragedy. Investigators noted the proximity of the gun, the trajectory of the bullet, and the statements made by Jamaica. The evidence was clear, Ariel had been shot at close range by her friend. But why? The answer, according to Jamaica, was a paranoid episode after smoking marijuana together, a combination of fear, anxiety, and impaired judgment that resulted in a fatal decision. Once the police secured the scene, the investigation moved quickly. Detectives began collecting statements, physical evidence, and reviewing the 911 call that Jamaica had made in a frantic state. Forensic evidence confirmed that Ariel had been shot at close range, sustaining a single gunshot wound to her shoulder that proved fatal. The gun, a Ruger .380, was registered to Jamaica Simone Mills. No other weapons or signs of struggle were found. Police also examined the trajectory and positioning of the bullet. The report indicated that Ariel was likely unaware of the imminent threat, reinforcing that Jamaica's actions were sudden, impulsive, and driven by fear rather than provocation. Jamaica's own statements to police fluctuated initially. She alternately claimed that Ariel had threatened her or made a sudden movement that she perceived as dangerous. Later, she admitted that her paranoia was irrational and that she did not intend to kill Ariel. This inconsistency was significant in shaping the legal approach to her case. Detectives interviewed neighbors, friends, and family. Everyone painted Ariel as kind, trusting, and unsuspecting of danger, while Jamaica's past showed signs of anxiety and a history of fear-induced overreactions, though nothing violent. The investigation also revealed the timeline leading up to the shooting. The conclusion was clear. This was a tragic, self-contained incident, one friend shooting another during a paranoid episode. The news of Ariel Spillner's death sent shockwaves through Concordia University and the Milwaukee community. Students, faculty, and neighbors struggled to process the tragedy. Many described Ariel as bright, compassionate, and always willing to help others. Her family was devastated. Ariel's sister, Courtney Spillner, spoke to local media, saying, "She was the light in every room. To lose her like this, it's unimaginable. We keep replaying that night, wishing we could have done something." Ariel's parents described her as a dreamer, dedicated to her future, and someone who always cared for the people around her. The family set up a memorial and a GoFundMe to cover funeral expenses and to support charities in Ariel's name. Ariel's death became not just a personal loss but a cautionary tale for the wider community. Following the investigation, Jamaica Simone Mills was formally charged with first-degree reckless homicide with a dangerous weapon modifier. Authorities stated that her paranoia after smoking marijuana directly contributed to the fatal shooting of Ariel Spillner. During preliminary hearings, Mills admitted to pulling the trigger, but maintained that she did not intend to kill Ariel. The case centered on whether her actions were reckless enough to constitute first-degree homicide, given the circumstances of her fear and impaired judgment. Defense attorneys highlighted her mental state and anxiety, arguing that she had no prior intent to harm her friend. As of the last court update, Mills' trial was pending, with the community watching closely. The case continues to spark discussions about mental health, substance use, and the consequences of firearms in private settings. This legal battle is not only about justice for Ariel but also about understanding how fear and panic can escalate into irreversible tragedy. Ariel Spillner's death left a lasting impact on everyone who knew her. Friends, family, and classmates struggled to reconcile the vibrant, kind-hearted woman they loved with the violent way her life ended. Concordia University held vigils, counselors provided support, and students shared memories of a friend who was always smiling, always helping, and always putting others first. The tragedy also sparked broader conversations about mental health, paranoia, and substance use. For Ariel's family, every day was a painful reminder of the loss. Her sister Courtney said, "We can't bring Ariel back, but we can honor her memory by advocating for safety and compassion." Ariel's story serves as a stark warning of how quickly trust and normalcy can turn into tragedy, and how the aftermath affects countless lives. If Ariel's story moved you, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to Noircrime 88 for more real-life true crime stories. Don't forget to comment below which country you're watching from. We love hearing from our global audience. Your support helps us bring these stories to light and remember the lives behind the headlines.